We are here at Edward Jones Investments and a very popular location in Goshen. And during this segment, Mark, you're going to hear a lot of traffic out front, highly visible. And what this commercial client really wanted to achieve was traditional yet formal, and to do something that would attract others to his business. Is that about as accurate as you can get?
It's all about professionalism, and this is a very professional business. People trust them with their investments and that, and we wanted to give a nice corporate business type of look out here. And what we had here before, Craig, was some pretty old, tired landscape, and we breathed some new life into it.
Every week it seems we run into tired, old landscape that you have worked your magic on, but it's really the case here. This building's been here a while. I remember this building for years.
It has.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you step inside, it looks just as beautiful inside as what is outside now.
Well, Mark, this is not the first commercial property that we featured on the program, and I recall you saying a few weeks ago at one of our locations that the beautification is one thing, but you've touched on it already. The practicality of having something really nice and professional actually draws a higher level of interest, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and actually what we found in our own business is that the way you present yourself actually attracts a higher caliber employee as well. So that's another benefit to businesses.
All right, so you dug out the old, you put in the new. Speak specifically about what you've done, can you?
Well, it's all about balance and symmetry. It's a very formal type of building here. The architecture that we've got on one side of the entrance perfectly matches the other side. So we've got mirror reverse landscape going down here. And we're starting out with a little dwarf Alberta spruce framing the front corner of the building. We've only got about 4 feet of width to work with here, and that is somewhat limiting, but as long as you know the type of plant material and their growing characteristics, you'll know that this works out perfectly.
Yes, very good. What else?
Well, so we've got the Alberta spruce on the corner. We're using that for some height, and then perfectly centered underneath each of those office windows there, we've got our globe blue spruce. And what that does is give us a nice splash of blue color 12 months out of the year.
All right, well, very nicely done, Mark. It's a great message to the traffic out in front here in Goshen on US 33. You've done some work on the side. What do you say we go over and take a look?
Okay.
Well, when you think of Edward Jones Investments, you think of money. But Mark, what you're doing and what Edward Jones here in Goshen has done is invested in landscaping to beautify and improve their business appearance. And I'm telling you what, it's a great idea. And what you've done along the side here really encompasses 3 things: the ground cover, the hiding of the necessary evils, as you like to say, and then the beautiful knockout roses down the end. Can you speak a little bit specifically about each of those areas?
Well, certainly. And behind us here was one of the most challenging areas. Craig, we only have 24 inches of space to work with.
Well, that's it, huh?
Yes, and so we had to select plant material that would stay confined into this area. And of course, we didn't want to block the views of the window. We want plenty of sunlight to be able to come in there. And so we've chosen these boxwoods. We've planted actually 2 of them side by side, and we're wanting them to grow together in this neat, tidy little formal hedge.
Yes, right.
And then, of course, we've got the gas meter here, and then down a little further is the electric meter. And we've put a variegated euonymus here, hoping that that can kind of trail up around there. And the owner can keep it cut around the meter here so they, of course, can read it.
Right.
We're wanting to hide and disguise that with the variegated euonymus.
Now, you had to do some extra work here to get that fan look, right?
Thanks for noticing. This is actually a fan burning bush, and you certainly don't plant a seed of a burning bush and have it grow up into a fan.
Right.
This is something our nursery staff for many years has been working with and has trained, and this is the perfect location for a fan burning bush. And so we've got this trained to grow flat up against the wall. It gives us some height, it gives us some width, but it fits in this narrow area quite nicely. And then, of course, burning bush turn bright red during the fall months.
I thought the macaw bloomer was the only thing you trained at Linton's, but you train plants, trees, and shrubs too.
Yes, we do, and thanks to our nursery staff. And of course, what you see down there, you see a repeat of it again. We're going for
Yep.
Very formal, balanced type of look, and so creating a little dwarf boxwood hedge here.
Yep.
Little splash of color with our miniature daylilies.
Yeah, getting
here.
hungry. Yes.
Don't eat them, Craig. And then on one corner we had a dwarf Alberta spruce, and so we're doing the same thing down here with another dwarf Alberta spruce.
You touched on the ground cover. That's important here, isn't it?
Well, yes, and you know, out of all the different options of ground cover, stone ground cover, doesn't make any difference what type of stone it is, but stone ground cover along with combination of woven fabric weed barrier, as long as it's a good quality weed barrier, that is the lowest maintenance type of ground cover.
And you had mentioned prior in one of our shows earlier this month even about the fact that keeping the ground cover, stone in this case, clean is key to longevity, right?
Exactly. You should get 20 plus years out of the stone ground cover as long as it's kept clean. You know, the biggest mistake is letting dirt and debris get incorporated on top of that weed barrier. Once that gets dirty, it's contaminated, and that's an opportunity for weeds to start growing.
So make sure you get the leaf blower out at the end of the season, right?
Absolutely.
And hit it really good.
Absolutely.
Again in the spring.
Very important.
Big splash of color here. I love this.
Thank you. It's our famous knockout roses in Craig. These are amazing. They are blooming nonstop spring, summer, and fall, putting out over 2,000 blooms per season. We did do some repurposing here. This is one of the burning bush. You can see our crews come in here and heavily prune this back, but it was too good of a plant to give up on, and we should be able to get another 10, 15 years worth of use out of it.
Now, Mark, for the viewer at home that might have a burning bush that's like way out of control, you've told me in the past you can cut these down, I mean, to a fraction of the size, right?
Absolutely. They're very forgiving. If we wanted to come in here and cut this down to 2 or 3 feet, it'd look a little butchered, but
next year it'd look great.
Next spring it would look great. And we've got another repurposed plant here.
Yep.
We've got these autumn joy sedums. We just simply divided and transplanted them, and we should get another 20 years worth of use out of them. And what I really like is the addition of our gold thread cypress, the splash of gold right next to those red knockout roses. Beautiful color combination.
You know what I've noticed over the years about you and your company, Mark, is when you do stuff like this so beautifully, it ups the game of those that receive benefit. And does that mailbox have anything to do with the fact that maybe Edward Jones thought, you know, we need to put in a brand new mail? That looks pretty sharp.
Well, I don't know how you figured that out, but yes, there was a tired mailbox there, and that was something that we did. They supplied the new mailbox, and we switched it out, so it gives it a nice, fresh new look. Thanks for noticing, Craig.
Well, thank you, Mark. Let's head to the other side, huh?
Okay.
Well, the fernleaf buckthorn was one of the features on the other side, and it deserves a little more mention here, Mark. Can you help us?
Well, certainly. And that's a pretty special plant. What I like about it is the columnar nature of it. And this is a new variety that we just started growing several years ago called a fine line buckthorn. And the difference between the two is this is more narrow and columnar, very upright type of flowering plant. Features little pink bell-shaped flowers in the springtime. The leaves turn bright gold in the fall, but the nice thing is it perfectly fits that area. It gives us some height, not really much width, but breaks up that space in between those two office windows.
A couple of areas to talk about here, Mark, on this side of the building, and the first is against the wall, the exterior wall.
Yeah, talking about challenging, you know, each side that we feature, the planting area gets smaller and smaller and smaller. This area here is only about 12, 14 inches in width, but it is perfect and ideal for our dwarf daylilies. These will continue to bloom all throughout the season and fits that low maintenance theme absolutely perfectly.
Now, Mark, what about this landscape island right here?
Well, we had a challenge here, Craig. You see these boxwoods? Of course, those were part of the existing landscape. There actually was a boxwood right here where we are standing, but unfortunately, the guests were plowing right over it, and the boxwood took an awful lot of abuse. So, you know, one thing is you really can't blame it all on the guest because it was so low. When you're inside of a car, you really can't see something that's only 1.5 feet in height. So we chose this ornamental grass that gives us about 4 feet in height here. And if for someone would accidentally plow over the top of this, ornamental grasses are very forgiving. It would not kill the plant. Of course, it would smash it, but it would come back and forgive and look nice the next season.
Kudos to your crew, Mark. Nice job here.
Well, thank you, Craig.
Got a whole lot more coming up on the program as we continue from Linton. Stay with us. We'll be right back.